Hi class, welcome to Auto 116A Electrical Fundamentals lecture portion. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this class and the importance of this class and how this format is going to work this summer session. So first thing first, this class is a fully online class. So you're not going to be coming to campus at all, okay, to have any class meetings. I mean, you can come to campus if you want to meet with me, to go to the bookstore, stuff like that. But as far as the class session goes, it's fully online. So we do not have to come to campus. The other thing too is fully asynchronous, which means that you have to be responsible and you're going to be responsible for completing all the work yourself. There are deadlines to the work. All work is going to be due on Sunday evening at 11:59 p.m. And that's going to go week by week. So the class is only 8 weeks long, starts on June 17th and ends on August 11th. Now, August 11th is a Sunday. And again, all assignments are due on Sunday. So since this is an 8-week class, we're going to have to do 2 modules per week. In a normal 16-week class, we would do 1 module per week. But since this is a compressed class, we will be doing 2 modules per week. So the first week, you're going to do modules 1 and 2. The second week, modules 3 and 4. Third week, modules 5 and 6, and so on until we finish all the way up to 16 modules. Okay. Um, Couple things I want to point out. So I'm here, as you can see on the home page. So this is what you guys will see. Everyone's going to see this. You'll obviously have a slightly different view. I don't have it in student view right now. I have it in my own view, but you'll see the same thing. Okay. So this class is 116A, which means it is the lecture portion only of the electrical fundamentals class. Now, if you were to take 116 without the A or the B, without any letter at the end of it, that is a 5-unit class that includes both lecture and lab, all in one class. It's usually limited to around 24 students, and it's held on campus. So what we did was we're offering these classes in a split format, meaning this is the lecture portion. If you want to take just the lecture portion, you can. If you want to take the lab portion later, at least in fall semester when it is being offered, then you can take the lab portion as well to complement this lecture portion. You have choices now, so you can take 116 without a letter and just take the full class, 5 units, or you can take 116A, which is 4 units, but it's lecture only, or you can take the 116B, which is the lab portion only, or with this section A, and then get the full 5 units. So we have, different options for different students that have different needs. And that's why we have these classes in this format. And you can see the classes here as I've laid them out. I'm going to highlight them right there. So you can see them. They're all highlighted in blue right now. And that'll give you kind of a basic understanding of how these classes are offered. Okay. Right now, 116A is in summer. 116B will be in fall. 116 without the letter is also in fall as well. Okay. For this class, for the 116A class, it is part of a certificate. Now, the certificate is not published yet because it is a new certificate. It's coming out in fall 2024. So you'll see it by August. August 1st, August 2nd, it's usually when the catalog is published, early August, and you'll see this new certificate. This new certificate is called Automotive Essentials Certificate of Achievement. And that certificate has these 4 classes in it. Auto 114A, suspension and steering, lecture only. 115A, brakes, lecture only. This class, 116A, electrical fundamentals, lecture only. And then Auto 118A, engine performance, lecture only. So if you want to just take these 4 classes, and they're always offered online, these A sections, whenever you see the A, that's an online class for us in automotive. We don't plan to offer these in person on campus. Because we have the traditional one without the letter. So these will always be online. So a student can take these 4 classes online, never have to come to campus, and earn a certificate in automotive. This is really geared towards, students that are working full time. We know a lot of you guys work full time and have jobs and stuff, and can't always make it to campus. So at least you can get a certificate to validate your skills, which you probably are very developed and know a lot of this stuff. But at least you'll have that certificate to back you up and to prove that you do know things. Okay, so this is the homepage. This is where you can start, read a little bit, read about the class. And then from there, we always go to the syllabus. Let me show you the syllabus real quick. There's a picture of me from when I graduated. Here's a little bit about me right here. And then there's a list of my degrees and my certifications from ASC. So all the instructors have ASC certifications. Um, so if you have any questions about ASCs and stuff like that and taking some of the tests, just let me know. We can always talk about that. Here's the textbook. So now let's get down to it. So the textbook ISBN is right there. Now, this textbook, I want to make sure that you guys purchase this textbook at the Santa Ana College bookstore. Do not purchase this textbook outside of some outside vendor. The reason is this textbook is available through Canvas. So the only way for you to access this textbook is to go on Canvas here at Santa Ana College, go to the class, and then go through the modules, and you can get the textbook through the modules. Okay, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Do not get this from outside. If you try to get this textbook from an outside vendor, you will get the wrong one. They don't have the right one because we're the only ones that have it because it's given to us specifically for our Canvas LMS. Okay, so again, do not get it from the outside. Okay, I'm gonna go into the textbook or the syllabus now. Sorry, excuse me. And then again, the information here, our 4-unit class, title class, 8 weeks long, fully online. Here's my contact information. If you want to call me, that is my office number, and then my email. The best way, really, honestly, to reach me is the Canvas inbox. Students have access to Canvas inbox. My email is public, so I get emails all the time from all kinds of random people on campus, students, non-students, employees, etc. But for students, the Canvas inbox is the best because Canvas inbox over here on the left side, you are the only ones that have access to it. So if I get a message from Canvas inbox, I know it's a student because no other employees have access to it. And the good thing about Canvas inbox is it sends it to my phone because I have the Canvas app on my phone. So use the Canvas inbox, send me a message if you have a question or anything, and it goes straight to my phone. It's like kind of like instant messaging, basically. We can go back and forth real quick. And you don't have to tell me who you are because it already tells me who you are. With an email, if you send me an email, make sure you tell me who you are and tell me what class you're in. I am teaching 3 classes this summer. So, just, give the basic information, what your name, what class you're in, and, what your question is. But Canvas inbox, you don't have to do that because it gives me your name automatically. Okay. Again, textbook, get from the bookstore. Course description is here. Learning outcomes is here. Your objectives, the things, basically what we're going to learn in the class. Okay. There are discussions that are going to be due weekly. So there's going to be, since there's 8 weeks in the class, we have 8 discussion boards. The first discussion board, the first post, meaning answer the question, is due by Thursday, 11:59 p.m. And that goes for everyone. Then your part 2 or your second part of the discussion, which is to reply to 2 other students, is due by the Sunday. Okay, and that's just 1 per week. We're gonna have a little bit of interaction between some of the students and myself, and I'll be on there too, commenting and giving my feedback. Okay, and the discussions are not in a sense where it's not like I can't grade you on your opinion. What it is just talk, just let us know what you're thinking, let us know what's going on, talk to people. That's it. That's all it's really about. So everyone, as long as you just do them, you should be able to get full credit. There is a minimum word amount, and that'll be in the assignment so you can see what it is. Okay. That also accounts for your attendance in the class. So if you do not complete the discussion boards, you are absent for that week, which is a lot of time. And we'll get to the 10% rule in a minute. Okay. Again, on the and the other thing is too, on the very, very first week. So this coming week, when the class starts, you have to show up. And by proving you showing up is by doing the first module, the first assignments, the first discussion board. Okay. So I need you to do the first discussion board at least to let me know that you're going to stay in the class. If I don't have it by that Thursday, you are subject to being dropped from the class. Okay. There are going to be PowerPoint quizzes. So there's PowerPoints available. I have video and audio PowerPoints that are available to you that you will have to, listen to and go through. And then there's a quiz after that. So the quiz is specific to the PowerPoint. Then we have the textbook quizzes as well. So then there's textbook quizzes that are based strictly and solely on the textbook, on the reading. Okay. So there are 2 quizzes each week, each module, I should say. So it means there's 4 quizzes each week since we're doing 2 modules per week. PowerPoint quiz, which is 10 questions, and then the textbook quiz, which is 15 questions. Okay. The good thing about all the quizzes, there's no time limit and you get 3 attempts. Okay. I know right here, if I gotta change this, it does say 2 attempts, but you do get 3 attempts. Okay. And then there's 4 web-based trainings that you have to do. These web-based trainings are the same or similar trainings that the Ford technicians do at the Ford dealerships. So we chose Ford. I chose Ford for this class. We do have access to General Motors. We access to Mercedes, to Subaru, to Mopar, and to Hyundai as well. Okay. Um, so if you're interested in any of those, please let me know and I can give you access to some of that those online trainings for those specific manufacturers. And then our final exam, 125 questions, and it'll be at the very, very end of the semester. As we go through the schedule here, so the schedule, there's a discussion for week 1 or module 1, PowerPoint quiz, a textbook quiz, and a worksheet. Okay, the worksheets are fill in the blanks. So the worksheets are there available for you online. You download them, you go through the textbook, you find the answers for all the questions. They're fill in the blank, they're multiple choice questions, stuff like that. And then you save it and then you upload it back into Canvas and then I can grade it from there. Okay, the worksheets are really, really easy, pretty self-explanatory. I shouldn't say easy, but I mean, they take some work for you to find the answers, but it's pretty self-explanatory. And then, so for week 1, which includes module 1 and module 2, you're going to have PowerPoint, 2 PowerPoint quizzes, 2 textbook quizzes, 2 worksheets, and 1 discussion. Okay, no 4 days for the first week. The second week is when we start the 4 to ACE trainings. Okay, and it'll go like that throughout the semester. As you can see, the topics are here. So chapter readings, there's no readings from the textbook during modules 4, 5, and 6. Those I actually have uh, readings that I've created for you, and they're available online. They have to do with the circuits, with series parallel and series parallel circuits. Okay, and then I'll have some additional videos for you to see how the circuits are wired and how you can calculate the like the ohms resistance, voltage, and amperage. Okay. And then we'll go through, and then here's the rest of the schedule. So it goes down. So the 10% rule, which I mentioned earlier, 10% of the course. No student can miss more than 10% of the course. If you miss 10%, more than 10% of the course, you are subject to being dropped from the class. So this class is 72 hours. 10% of 72 is 7.2 hours. If you miss 2 modules, you have gone over at that point. Okay. The main thing is you are subject to being dropped. Will you be dropped? Not necessarily. It is really the student's responsibility to drop themselves. If you need to be dropped, you have to drop yourself. If you are, if you communicate with me and say, hey, something happened, I wasn't able to get to the assignments, but I will get to them next week and I'll make sure to do, 4 modules in 1 week. Then, as long as you communicate with me, we can work something out. I'm very lenient. I want everyone to finish and pass. But just make sure you communicate what's going on. All right. Classroom etiquette just means you got to be nice to people. Different people have different opinions, and everyone has a right to their opinion. But we don't have a right to be rude to people for their opinion. Okay, and I'll make sure that that is enforced at the class. And then most of this, if you need help with anything, always contact me first, and then I can point you in the right direction. There's some other resources here that you are able to access as well. They're all here in the syllabus. And then we can come down to the grading. The grading is at the very end of the syllabus, and discussions count for 10%. Your textbook quizzes count for 20. PowerPoint quizzes count for 20. Web-based training count for 20. Worksheets count for 20, and your final exam counts for 10. So that equals 100%. So as you can see, it's spread around a lot. So as long as you continue to do everything, you should be fine. It's very simple. I mean, the letter grades are what they are. I don't change them from the standard, 90 to 100A, 89 to 80B, and so on. Okay. So that is the syllabus. Let me go back to the homepage really quick. I'm sorry, let me go to the modules real quick. So on the modules, the main thing I want to show you in the modules, come down to module 1, is how to activate your textbook. So once you buy your textbook at the bookstore, and you need to enter a code because you're not actually gonna get a physical textbook. What you're gonna get is an envelope with a code in it. You come here to module 1 on Canvas. This is what you're gonna see. You're gonna click on this link here. It says follow the link to activate GW online textbook. Click on the link. Once you click on the link there, we're still in Canvas, as you can see. That's where you enter your access code. So I'm just going to type in some random letters here, but you would put your code here. Okay. Click the I agree and then click activate your key code. Once you do that, then you can go back to the modules. You scroll all the way to the bottom, and this is past module 16. Once you get past module 16, you're going to start to see resources, A6, auto electricity, and electronics. There's our textbook right there. So there it is. And here's the other textbooks. What I forgot to mention was that in addition to the electrical textbook, you get access to all the textbooks, A1 through A8. So even though you may not be taking engine repair right now, if you want to take it in fall, or if you are taking it in fall, you're going to have the textbook already. The textbooks, once you get access, you have 1 full year. So you can access all these textbooks for 1 year from the point of activation. Okay. Um, and all of our classes use this textbook for the most part. I don't want to say all, but most. Okay, and to get to the textbook, we click on A6 ebook. There are links also within each module that I set up for you. And click on read this textbook. It's going to open a new tab here. And then there's our textbook. And we can, go through, I'll skip ahead. I skip to head to page 86, just randomly. It's loading. And loading and loading. There we go. Okay, so now we have some context here. There's our textbook, and I'm going backwards, but we can read through the textbook, and then this is where our answers are going to be for our textbook quizzes in here, and also the worksheets. Okay. So let me go back. I need to close the textbook now, and then let me go back to the home page. Okay, and the main thing from here, I want to just let everyone know that, hopefully we have a good semester. If you have any questions, always reach out to me. I'm available, Monday through Friday. I do answer questions on the weekend sometimes, as long as I'm available, not away. So just feel free, give me a little bit of time to answer questions. Especially if you're emailing me late at night. I don't stay up late, like a lot of students do. I do go to bed early. Okay, so if you have any questions, reach out to me. And hopefully we have a good class. Okay. So again, everyone take care, and we'll be talking soon.